Welcome to today's story, a tale that begins with hope, dips into despair, but ultimately rises to an inspiring conclusion filled with love, creativity, and the power of unity. Join us as we follow the journey of a struggling restaurant owner who, in a selfless act of kindness, offered refuge to a man and his daughter. What followed was a series of unexpected twists that led to the revival of not just a restaurant, but the birth of a new family united by shared dreams and the magic of music. This story will take you from moments of deep sorrow to the heights of joy and remind you that even in the darkest times, there is always a path to light. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. The proprietor of a struggling, debt-ridden restaurant, with its doors nearly closed for good, extended an unexpected act of kindness by offering refuge to a destitute man and his young daughter within its walls while the property lingered on the market. Yet, one fateful day, driven by an innocent sense of ownership, he entered without so much as a knock, only to be utterly shaken by the shocking sight that greeted him, proof of the beggar's unimaginable actions. Daniel sat hunched on the cold, unforgiving pavement, anxiously awaiting his daughter's emergence from the school gates. He deliberately chose a secluded side street, far from the watchful eyes and judgmental glares of other parents congregating at the main exit. Unlike the others who greeted their children with open arms and proud smiles, Daniel felt an overwhelming sense of isolation. "They can't understand," he muttered to himself, his heart heavy with despair. "If they only knew the relentless effort I pour into rebuilding our shattered lives, they might show a hint of compassion instead of disdain." Lost in the whirlwind of his thoughts, Daniel wrestled with his own inadequacies. "Perhaps I haven't done enough. Maybe there's more I could try, something I've overlooked," he mused, desperation clinging to every word in his mind. "There has to be a way out of this misery. Some path we haven't yet found," but just as his thoughts threatened to pull him into a dark abyss, a burst of light broke through a familiar, joyful voice that could chase away the darkest clouds. "Dad, here I am. You won't believe everything I have to share with you today." It was Lily, her small frame bounding towards him with infectious enthusiasm. "I learned so much today. And guess what? The teacher said I was really smart." Her words tumbled out in a breathless stream, each one brimming with the pure, unfiltered excitement only a child could muster. Daniel's somber expression softened as he rose to his feet, his own weariness momentarily forgotten in the face of his daughter's boundless joy. "Tell me all about it, sweetheart, but let's walk as we talk, or we'll miss lunch," he said gently, taking her backpack from her tiny shoulders. As they strolled side by side down the worn-out street, Daniel's heart swelled with pride as Lily recounted every detail of her day, her voice like a soothing balm to his weary soul. Their lively conversation carried on until they reached the entrance of Michael Oliver's restaurant. They turned into the narrow alley beside the restaurant, a familiar route they had treaded countless times in recent weeks. This humble eatery had become a sanctuary amidst the relentless storms that life had hurled their way. Michael, the restaurant's owner, was a man whose stern, weathered face belied the vast compassion that lay beneath. Though his exterior was tough and unyielding, Michael's kindness extended far beyond his gruff demeanor, especially towards those who found themselves at the mercy of life's cruel twists. As usual, a small gathering of the homeless had assembled in the alley, drawn by the promise of a warm meal. Daniel and Lily were no strangers here, and they were greeted with nods of recognition as they approached. The tantalizing scent of freshly cooked food wafted through the air, leading them to the back door where Michael diligently stirred large pots brimming with sustenance. "Good to see you, Daniel." "Lily. Perfect timing. I just finished filling the pots," Michael called out in his usual gruff tone, which always carried a note of hidden warmth. "Thank you, Mr. Michael. Truly, your help means more to us than you could ever know. I don't know where I'd turn without it, especially when it comes to providing for my daughter," Daniel responded, his voice thick with emotion, gratitude etched deeply in every word. "Daniel, There's no need for thanks every time you're here. This should be a common courtesy, but sadly the world would rather waste than see to the needs of the hungry. But today, I've got something special lined up. Hope you enjoy it. If not, well, you can blame my daughter. She insisted on the recipe. Michael added with a rare chuckle, handing over a generously filled container, his rough exterior momentarily softened by a glimpse of his own paternal pride. Daniel and Lily expressed their heartfelt gratitude, took the warm container from Michael, and settled down in the alley to share the meal. As they ate, Lily's cheerful chatter filled the space between them, her innocent joy a stark contrast to the weight on Daniel's mind. The food was comforting, but as they neared the end of their meal, a quietness settled over them. It was in this silence that Michael appeared, his usually stoic face showing signs of weariness. He walked over and joined them on the ground, sitting next to Daniel. Though they often shared casual conversations, today there was a noticeable heaviness in Michael's demeanor, something that immediately caught Daniel's attention. Sensing the shift in his friend's mood, Daniel couldn't help but voice his concern. "Michael, you seem troubled. Is something wrong? Is it the restaurant? Or is it your daughter?" His voice was filled with a mix of worry and genuine care. Michael hesitated, his eyes reflecting a deep well of anxiety, before he finally spoke. "Daniel, things have taken a turn for the worse. The restaurant isn't doing well. The number of customers has dropped drastically over the last few months, and the debts are piling up faster than I can manage. If this keeps up, I might have to close the place down and sell it." His voice, usually so steady and composed, now wavered with desperation and a tinge of fear. Daniel remained silent, absorbing the gravity of Michael's words. The restaurant wasn't just a place where they found nourishment, it was a beacon of hope, a symbol that there was still kindness and humanity in the world. The thought of it closing down felt like losing a lifeline. Isn't there anything that can be done? Surely there must be some way to save it. The restaurant can't just close like this, not after all these years, Daniel said, his voice filled with determination and disbelief. Michael shrugged, a gesture that conveyed his near resignation. "I've tried everything I could think of, Daniel. I've promoted it, offered discounts, even tried to draw in new customers with special deals, but nothing has worked. And with the way the economy is right now, people just aren't spending money on eating out like they used to." Daniel, however, wasn't ready to give up. "Mr. Michael, you've been there for us in our darkest moments. There has to be something we can do to help. We'll figure something out, I promise. Maybe there's a way to draw attention to the restaurant, something you haven't tried yet. We can't just stand by and watch it close down." Though he didn't have an immediate solution, the resolve in his voice was unmistakable. Daniel knew the situation was dire, but he refused to simply accept defeat. Michael smiled weakly, clearly moved by Daniel's offer of support. "Thank you, Daniel. It means a lot to me that you're willing to help, even when you have your own battles to fight. I just don't know how you could help." "I sincerely hope you find a way through this, Michael. I know all too well what it's like to lose everything in the blink of an eye. It's a terrible feeling, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone." Daniel's eyes clouded with a deep sadness, the pain of his own experiences reflected in his gaze. Seeing this, Michael felt compelled to delve deeper into Daniel's past. "You've never really told me much about how things ended up this way for you. What exactly happened?" Michael asked, his voice filled with a mix of curiosity and concern. Daniel took a deep breath, the memories flooding back with painful clarity. "I used to work in advertising. It was a career I loved, full of creativity and strategy. I was really good at it, but the company couldn't keep up with the market. Clients started cutting back, and eventually we had to close our doors. I was one of the last to be laid off." Clinging to the hope that things might turn around, the memory of his final day at the office was still sharp, the collective shock and sadness among his colleagues, the sense of finality that hung in the air. The weeks that followed were a nightmare he could never have imagined. "I searched for a job every day, but nothing came up. The rent fell behind, the savings ran out. And then one day, we were evicted, Lily and I, out on the streets with nowhere to go." He paused, the weight of that moment still heavy on his heart. Suddenly, I was without a job, without a home, and with no idea how to protect my daughter. It was the most desperate I've ever felt. Daniel's voice trailed off as his gaze drifted into the distance, lost in the memories of those dark days. Michael listened intently, every word a harsh reminder of how quickly life could unravel. "Daniel, I'm so sorry for all you've been through. Your strength, your perseverance, even when everything was falling apart, is truly remarkable. I hope things turn around for you, just as I hope they do for me. We'll get through this somehow, but it takes a lot of courage," Michael said, his admiration for Daniel clear in his voice. Daniel managed a small smile, grateful for the empathy and understanding. "Thank you, Michael. Your help has made a world of difference for us. I may not have much to offer, but know that you can count on me for anything you need." Not long after, Daniel and Lily bid Michael farewell and began the familiar walk back to their makeshift shelter. The path led them to a small, abandoned house where they had set up a tent in the covered backyard, a place that, despite its dilapidated state, provided them with a sense of security, shielding them from the harsh elements. The house's gate was always open, as if inviting them in, but Daniel respected the boundaries of what might be someone else's property. He had never ventured inside, content to stay within the shelter of the backyard. The day passed without the chance of another meal. When night fell, Daniel and Lily settled into the tent, the only sounds around them the distant hum of the city and the soft, even breaths of his daughter as she drifted off to sleep. Daniel lay awake, staring at the tent's ceiling, his mind racing. "I have to find a way out of this for us," he thought, the weight of his responsibility pressing down on him. "Somehow, some way, a solution will come. I have to believe that." And so, as the night deepened, Daniel's thoughts tirelessly searched for answers, refusing to surrender to the despair that threatened to consume him. Lily, already in the gentle embrace of sleep, breathed softly beside Daniel, her tiny frame a constant reminder of why he fought so hard against the relentless tide of despair. "She is everything I have, and I am all she has," he thought with unwavering resolve. For her, I must keep going with that final determined thought. He too drifted into a restless sleep. The night, though initially calm, was soon shattered by the jarring sound of an authoritative voice, echoing through the cold darkness and pulling both father and daughter from their fragile slumber. "You two, get out now. Get out, or I'll tear down this tent. Do you hear me?" The command was harsh, laden with authority and impatience, sending shockwaves of fear through their hearts. Lily, still groggy and disoriented from sleep, clung to her father, her wide eyes filled with confusion and fear. "Dad, what's happening? Why are they yelling at us?" she whispered, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Daniel, battling his own rising panic, forced himself to remain calm for Lily's sake. "Stay inside the tent, Lily. I'll see what's going on. Don't come out, okay?" he instructed, his voice steady, but betraying a fear that gripped his soul. As he stepped outside, Daniel was met by the stern gaze of a towering police officer. The patrol car was parked nearby, its ominous red and blue lights flashing in the pre-dawn darkness, casting an eerie glow over the scene. The officer's expression was cold and uncompromising, and he wasted no time getting to the point. "You're trespassing on private property. And it looks like you broke into this place too," the officer barked, his words cutting through the night air like a knife. The accusation was serious, and Daniel, desperate to avoid further trouble, tried to explain. "Sir, we didn't break in. The gate has always been open, and the house is completely abandoned. We were just looking for a safe place to sleep," Daniel pleaded, his voice thick with desperation. But the officer seemed unmoved by his explanation, his face hardening as he cut Daniel off. "It doesn't matter. This is private property, and you can't stay here. If you don't leave now, I'll have no choice but to arrest you and take your daughter into protective custody," the officer warned, his tone leaving no room for negotiation. The threat was clear and terrifying, and Daniel knew he had no other option. The mere thought of being separated from Lily, of leaving his daughter alone in a world that had already taken so much from them, was unbearable. Swallowing his fear, Daniel turned back to the tent and gently called out to Lily, "We have to leave now, sweetheart. Grab your backpack. We'll find somewhere else to rest." "Okay," he said, doing his best to hide the tremor in his voice, to shield her from the dread that was gnawing at his insides. Together, they gathered their meager belongings and stepped out into the chilly night, passing by the patrol car and under the officer's watchful, unforgiving gaze. As they walked away, Daniel felt the weight of his gaze burning into his back, and it took every ounce of strength not to break into a run. Each step felt heavier than the last, burdened by the crushing uncertainty of what lay ahead. Daniel fought back the tears that threatened to spill, his throat tight with suppressed emotion. Sensing his turmoil, Lily squeezed his hand tighter, her small gesture providing a sliver of comfort. "It'll be okay, Dad. At least those bad men didn't hurt us, so it'll be okay," she said with a conviction that both warmed and broke Daniel's heart. He longed to believe her words, to draw strength from her unshakable faith, but the weight of their situation bore down on him, making it difficult to see any light at the end of this dark tunnel. "I have to be strong for her, for both of us," Daniel resolved, swallowing his own fear and sorrow. "I can't let her see me cry, not now. I need to be strong." Under the vast, indifferent night sky, Daniel and Lily eventually found their way to a quiet, deserted space that offered a momentary respite from the relentless world outside. Lily's exhaustion was evident in every sluggish step, her small body fighting against the pull of sleep. Seeing her struggle, Daniel guided her to a secluded bench and gently settled her on his lap, offering her what little comfort he could in their uncertain circumstances. As she rested her head against his chest, the last of her energy slipping away, she murmured in a faint, weary voice, "Dad, I'm hungry. Isn't there anything to eat until morning? I don't really like the food at school." Her simple, innocent words struck Daniel like a blow to the heart, each one a painful reminder of his inability to provide for his daughter in the most basic way. The helplessness he felt was crushing, a suffocating weight that threatened to drag him under. "How can I protect you, keep you safe, if I can't even give you a meal?" he thought, the pain of his own inadequacy cutting deep. But even as despair clawed at him, Daniel forced himself to stay calm, to push aside his own agony for the sake of his daughter. "I know, sweetheart, I know," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion as he stroked her hair gently. "But tomorrow at school, you'll have something to eat during recess. Just hold on a little longer, okay? Morning will be here soon." His words were a promise, a fragile hope that he clung to with all his might, even as the night stretched endlessly before them. As Lily's breathing evened out and she slipped back into sleep, Daniel sat in the darkness, his mind racing with thoughts of how to make it through another day. The world felt impossibly big and cruel, and yet he knew he had no choice but to keep going. For Lily's sake, he would endure whatever came their way. Because in this harsh, unforgiving world, she was his light, and for her he would never stop fighting. With eyes heavy from exhaustion and the pangs of hunger gnawing at her, Lily looked up at her father with a tired but unwavering smile. "Okay, Dad, I love you so much. You know, I promised to grab some cookies for you," she whispered before finally surrendering to sleep, her tiny body relaxing in his arms. Left alone with his thoughts, Daniel watched his daughter sleep peacefully on his lap, her trust in him unshaken despite the harsh reality of their lives. It was in these quiet moments, with only the sound of Lily's soft breathing breaking the silence, that Daniel allowed himself to release the tears he had been holding back for so long. They fell freely, each tear a testament to the deep-seated pain and overwhelming sense of failure he felt as a father. God, how long must she endure this life? Daniel questioned, his heart heavy with the weight of his anguish and the boundless love he had for Lily. His voice was a mere whisper, a plea to the heavens as he stared up at the vast, indifferent night sky, searching the stars for a sign, any glimmer of hope that might guide him. He sent a silent prayer into the void. Please give me the strength to change our fate. I'll accept anything, do anything, just grant me the chance to give her a better life. He whispered, his words carried away by the gentle breeze, a father's desperate cry for a miracle. As the first light of dawn broke through the darkness, the routine of survival resumed. With Lily's small hand firmly in his, Daniel walked her to school, clinging to this semblance of normalcy, this ritual that gave his life purpose, despite the uncertainty that loomed over them. The morning crawled by, each passing minute a reminder of the precariousness of their situation. When it was time to pick up his daughter, Daniel waited in his usual spot, his outward calm masking the anxiety that gnawed at him. Together, they made their way to Michael's restaurant, the familiar path offering a brief respite from their worries. But as they approached, a new, devastating reality awaited them. A for sale sign, bold and unyielding, was nailed to the facade of the restaurant. Daniel's heart plummeted at the sight, the stark reminder of how fragile their lifeline truly was. This can't be happening. Michael wouldn't give up like this. He's the reason my daughter has food on her plate. I won't let this happen, he thought, the initial shock quickly morphing into a fierce resolve. In the alley, as they prepared to receive what might be their last meal from the restaurant, Daniel couldn't keep his concerns at bay. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, he turned to Michael, unable to hide the urgency in his voice. Michael, what's going on with that sign? I can't believe you're giving up the restaurant. I know you better than that you wouldn't quit so easily. Michael's eyes, usually so full of determination, now reflected a deep resignation and sadness, a mirror of the battle he had been fighting alone. Daniel, I had no other choice. The financial situation has become unbearable. Keeping the restaurant open is no longer feasible, and selling it is the only option left. I'm sorry for you, for everyone who depends on this place, but there's nothing more I can do. However, for this week, I'll make sure you still have food. I need to travel for a few days, and my daughter will handle things here while I'm gone. She'll take care of you too, Michael explained, his voice tinged with regret and helplessness. As Michael spoke, a whirlwind of emotion stormed through Daniel's mind, the fear of not being able to feed Lily, the worry about Michael's future, and the impending loss of the one place that had provided them with some semblance of stability. Everything seemed to be spiraling toward an abyss of despair, each thought adding another layer of anxiety to the already overwhelming burden on his shoulders. What if we have nowhere else to get food? What if things get even worse? These thoughts raced through his mind, threatening to paralyze him with fear. But just as the darkness of his despair threatened to consume him, a sudden spark of inspiration pierced through a memory of his former life, a skill set that had once been his passion. His experience in advertising, long buried beneath the struggles of day-to-day survival, suddenly resurfaced as the key to their salvation. I can use what I know. I know how I can help. Daniel realized, a new sense of determination surging through him, replacing the fear that had gripped him moments before. With newfound intensity, he turned to Michael, his voice brimming with urgency and hope. Michael, I have a solution. Give me this week. Let me use my advertising skills to draw more customers to the restaurant. In exchange, my daughter and I will sleep in the storage room, just to have a safe place to stay for the night. Daniel proposed, the desperation in his voice underscored by a deep-seated hope that this plan could turn things around. Michael, taken aback by the unexpected proposal, took a moment to process Daniel's words. The restaurant, on the brink of closure, seemed beyond saving, and selling it had appeared to be the only way out. But Daniel's idea, though risky, was a glimmer of hope in a situation that had seemed hopeless. After a few moments of contemplation, Michael nodded, a cautious but genuine trust reflected in his eyes. "All right, Daniel, it's a deal. You have 1 week. If you can bring in more customers and show me that there's still hope for this place, I'll reconsider the sale," Michael agreed, his voice carrying both a challenge and a promise. As they shook hands, Daniel felt a wave of relief wash over him, though he knew the real challenge was just beginning. The stakes were high, but for Lily, for the future he desperately wanted to secure for her, he would do whatever it took. With a week to prove that the restaurant could be saved, Daniel knew this was more than just a fight for survival. It was a fight for their future, a chance to turn the tide and reclaim the life they had lost. Daniel felt a mix of relief and dread wash over him as Michael agreed to his plan. The weight of responsibility to save the restaurant and, in turn, secure a safe haven for Lily was overwhelming. "Thank you, Michael. I swear I'll do everything in my power to make this work. You won't regret it. I promise," Daniel vowed, his voice thick with determination. The rest of the day passed more peacefully for Daniel, the knowledge that they now had a place to rest bringing him a sense of comfort he hadn't felt in a long time. As dusk began to fall, Daniel and Lily made their way back to the restaurant. They found the storage room door slightly ajar, and with a cautious step, Daniel peered inside. He was met with the sight of a young woman arranging a mattress among the stacked boxes, a small, simple gesture, yet one that carried profound meaning in that cramped, makeshift space. "Good evening," Daniel called out softly, his voice echoing slightly in the room. "Sorry to disturb you. You must be Michael's daughter, right?" The woman looked up, momentarily surprised, but her expression quickly softened into a welcoming smile. "You must be Daniel," she said warmly, stepping forward with a friendly demeanor. "I'm Emma, Michael's daughter, and this must be Lily. What a beautiful girl you are." Her voice was filled with genuine kindness as she bent down to greet Lily, who watched her with wide, curious eyes. Emma motioned for them to come inside. "Please make yourselves comfortable. Consider this your home for now. I made some hot soup to welcome you. I figured you might be hungry. Just wait here, I'll be right back." With that, she disappeared briefly, returning moments later with a tray holding 3 steaming bowls of soup. The 3 of them settled onto some of the boxes, the warm aroma of the soup filling the small room as they began to eat. Daniel and Lily accepted the meal with heartfelt gratitude, savoring the comforting warmth of the soup. As they ate, Daniel couldn't help but ask about Michael. "So your father, he mentioned he was leaving on a trip. Did he go today? I thought he might still be here when we got back." Emma nodded as she stirred her soup. "Yes, he left earlier today. He had to take care of some things, but he gave me detailed instructions on how to manage everything while he's gone. I know he trusts me, and that gives me the confidence to handle it." Daniel smiled at her reassuringly. "You seem to have inherited your father's intelligence and kindness. I'm sure you'll do great. By the way, this soup is wonderful. You must have inherited his cooking skills too. Do you enjoy cooking?" Emma's eyes lit up with a mix of pride and passion. "Yes, I love cooking, but it's more of a hobby for me. My real passion is music. Cooking speaks to the soul, but music, it speaks to the heart. I've always dreamed of making a living through music." Daniel listened with genuine interest, impressed by Emma's enthusiasm. Music does have that power, doesn't it? It connects us to something beyond ourselves, something that words alone can't express. I've always loved music too. I used to play instruments, piano, guitar, and even a bit of violin. As Daniel and Emma continued their conversation, Lily remained quiet, observing them with her innocent curiosity. She watched as her father, who had been so burdened with worry, engaged in this lively conversation, his face illuminated by a smile she hadn't seen in what felt like forever. It was a rare moment, a welcome change from the constant tension that usually clouded his expression. Finally, after listening for a while, Lily found a pause in the conversation and spoke up with the kind of pure honesty that only a child could possess. "Daddy, I think Emma would make a great mommy, don't you?" The room fell silent as Daniel felt a rush of heat flood his cheeks, his face turning a deep shade of red. Caught completely off guard, he stammered, trying to find the right words to diffuse the situation while laughing nervously. "Lily, sweetheart. Oh my goodness. Emma, I'm so sorry, she's just a child. You know how kids are, right?" he managed to say, his embarrassment evident in every word. Emma, surprised by the sudden remark, couldn't help but laugh softly, her cheeks also flushing slightly. "It's okay, Daniel," she said gently, her smile warm and understanding. "Lily's just being honest. It's sweet, really." Daniel chuckled awkwardly, still trying to recover from his daughter's unexpected comment. "Well, she certainly has a way of surprising me," he said, glancing at Lily, who was now beaming up at him with her innocent smile. Emma's laughter eased the tension, and soon, the atmosphere in the room returned to its previous warmth. As they finished their meal, the three of them continued to talk, the bond between them growing stronger with each shared word, each exchanged smile. Despite the challenges that lay ahead, Daniel felt a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, things could get better from here. Emma's cheeks turned a soft shade of pink at Lily's innocent comment, but she quickly joined in the laughter, her warm smile reflecting the genuine affection she felt for both father and daughter. "Oh, Daniel, don't worry about it." Emma reassured him, her voice filled with kindness and a touch of amusement. "Lily is absolutely adorable. Given everything you two have been through, it's only natural that she might miss having a mother around." Her words, spoken with such understanding, added a gentle warmth to the moment. What could have been an awkward pause instead deepened the bond forming between them. The evening's lightheartedness continued to flow, the earlier moment only adding to the sense of closeness. Conversation stretched comfortably into the night until Emma eventually stood to leave, bidding them good night with a smile that lingered long after she had gone. The storage room, now quiet and dimly lit, felt more like a sanctuary than it ever had before, the echoes of laughter and shared stories still hanging in the air. As Daniel and Lily settled onto the mattress, now their makeshift bed in the confined space, a peaceful silence wrapped around them. The warmth of Emma's presence lingered, leaving a comforting calm in its wake. As Daniel lay there, his mind replayed the evening's events, the easy conversation, the shared laughter, and the way Emma had brought light into their lives, even if just for a few hours. But just as sleep began to take hold, Lily's soft voice broke the silence. "Dad, I saw how you were looking at Emma. You like her, don't you? There's no use lying to me. I saw you looking all silly," she teased, her tone playful yet curious. The innocent observation caught Daniel off guard, and he couldn't help but laugh in surprise. "Time to sleep, little one," he replied, trying to steer the conversation away, though he couldn't deny the warmth spreading in his chest. "No more talk for today, I'm tired," but Lily wasn't quite finished. With a little giggle, she added, "She liked you too." "I could tell. She was all silly with you too." Her words, full of youthful confidence and sincerity, left Daniel momentarily speechless. He watched as Lily closed her eyes, a content smile on her lips as she drifted off to sleep. Her innocent perception, while simple, left Daniel pondering. Could it be true? Could Emma really have felt something for him, or was it just the innocent musings of a child? The idea seemed too good to be true, especially given the harsh realities of their lives. He definitely felt something for Emma, an undeniable connection, but the thought of it being mutual felt almost impossible, like a dream in a world where dreams rarely came true. As these thoughts swirled around in his mind, fatigue eventually overcame him. With a final glance at his daughter, sleeping peacefully beside him, Daniel allowed himself to succumb to sleep, the uncertainties of the future momentarily forgotten in the quiet of the night. The next morning, Emma, full of her usual vibrant energy, prepared breakfast for Daniel and Lily. It was more than just a simple meal, it was a gesture of kindness that extended far beyond what was expected. As they enjoyed the meal, which was modest yet prepared with evident care, Emma couldn't help but inquire about Daniel's plans for the restaurant. "So Daniel, have you thought about what you're going to do to help the restaurant? My father mentioned that you're skilled in advertising and might have some ideas." Daniel, chewing thoughtfully on a piece of bread, nodded. "I'm still working on it, but I'd like to take a good look around the place first. Sometimes the space itself can inspire ideas. Knowing the strengths and character of a place is crucial for creating something that truly stands out." Sensing Daniel's need for space to think, Emma made a generous offer. "I can take Lily to school today so you can focus on the restaurant. That way, you'll have more time and peace of mind to come up with your plans." Her offer was not just a helpful gesture, but a sign of the trust and support she was extending to Daniel. Daniel felt a wave of relief and gratitude wash over him. "Thank you, Emma. That would be really helpful. I can't express how much your support and your father's trust means to me. I won't let either of you down." After Emma and Lily left, Daniel began his exploration of the restaurant. He moved from the storage room through the kitchen and into the main dining area, where rows of empty tables stood like silent sentinels, waiting for the crowds that never came. The stillness of the space was heavy, but to Daniel, it was brimming with untapped potential. As he walked through the quiet, he spotted an easel with a chalkboard near the entrance, the current welcome sign simply inviting customers inside. It was there, staring at the blank slate, that an idea started to take shape. By the time Emma returned, Daniel was waiting eagerly in the storage room, his eyes alight with the energy of a man inspired. "Emma, I've got an idea," he began, his excitement palpable. "What if we use that entrance sign to do something different, something that makes people curious enough to come inside? We could promote special dishes, limited time offers, or even themed events. The key would be to change it regularly, so there's always something new for customers to discover." Emma listened closely, her face brightening at the prospect. However, a note of caution tempered her enthusiasm. "That's a great idea, Daniel. But we need to remember the restaurant's current situation. We can't afford too many extra expenses. We need something that's both simple and effective." Daniel nodded in agreement, understanding the need for caution. He closed his eyes for a moment, thinking hard, and then a new idea sparked. "What if we introduced a game? Imagine this: when customers come in, they can order a mystery dish from the menu. They have to guess what it is before they eat it. If they guess right, they get the meal and a drink for free." Emma's initial hesitation melted away, replaced by a growing excitement. The simplicity and creativity of the idea struck her as perfect. "That's brilliant, Daniel. It's fun, engaging, and it's a way to bring people in without needing to spend a lot of money. Plus, it creates a unique experience for our customers," she said, her admiration for Daniel evident. Overcome with enthusiasm, Emma spontaneously stepped forward and hugged Daniel. The unexpected gesture caught him off guard, and for a brief moment he stood there, surprised, before gently returning the embrace. The closeness made his heart race, and he felt a blush creep up his cheeks. When they pulled apart, both were left with shy smiles, the air between them subtly charged with a new energy. Daniel, eager to maintain focus, cleared his throat and shifted back to the task at hand. "Let's get started on this then. We need to spread the word and think about other games or events we could host. We should try to do something different every day so customers have a reason to keep coming back." Emma nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, let's make this place the talk of the town. I'll help in any way I can. With your creativity and my father's cooking, we can really make something special happen here." With their spirits high and their plan beginning to take shape, Daniel and Emma spent the rest of the day brainstorming and planning, their collaboration bringing them closer together, both as partners in this venture and as friends navigating uncertain times. The spark of hope was alive, and for the first time in a long while, the future seemed just a little bit brighter. Emma agreed with renewed enthusiasm, inspired by Daniel's determination and vision. "Yes, let's do that. And I've been thinking of a few more ideas that could work well within our limited budget," she added, the excitement evident in her voice. Their conversation flowed naturally, each of them bouncing ideas off the other, and with every exchange, the sense of hope and possibility grew stronger. For the first time in a long while, it felt like the future of Michael's restaurant was no longer a bleak uncertainty, but a challenge they were ready to face head-on. Once they had carefully outlined their plan, Emma eagerly took the initiative to set it into motion. She grabbed the chalkboard and, with a steady hand and clear, inviting handwriting, crafted the message that she hoped would intrigue and attract passers-by. "Order a random dish and guess the name. If you get it right, your meal is free." As she placed the sign outside on the street, her heart fluttered with a mix of nervous anticipation and hope. It was a bold gamble, one that relied on human curiosity and the desire for a little fun to breathe new life into the struggling restaurant. As the restaurant officially opened its doors, Emma threw herself into the daily tasks of the kitchen, trying to keep her mind occupied and her nerves at bay. She washed the few dishes, wiped down the counters, and meticulously organized the ingredients, all the while battling a growing sense of anxiety. What if no one takes the bait? What if people aren't interested? Just because the idea sounds good doesn't mean it will work. She worried silently, her hands moving on autopilot as she tried to maintain her faith in the plan. Then, breaking the tension-filled quiet of the setting, the small bell above the door rang out, signaling the arrival of a customer. Emma's heart leapt in her chest, and she quickly dried her hands on her apron before rushing to greet the newcomer. Standing in the doorway was a man with a look of curious amusement on his face. "I saw the promotion on the sign outside. How exactly does it work? Do you really eat for free?" he asked, his voice laced with a blend of skepticism and interest. Emma explained the rules with a warm smile and a touch of excitement she couldn't quite hide. "Yes, that's right. You order a random dish from our menu, and I'll prepare it for you. Before you taste it, you try to guess the name of the dish. If you guess correctly, your meal and drink are on the house." Her eyes sparkled with the hope that this simple interaction could be the start of something much bigger. The customer grinned, clearly intrigued by the challenge. "That sounds like fun. I'll give it a shot. Let's see what you've got," he said, taking a seat at one of the tables. "I'll have a random dish, please." Emma, almost unable to believe her luck, nodded eagerly and rushed back to the kitchen to prepare the first dish of the day. As she moved about, gathering ingredients and planning the meal, a wave of energy and optimism washed over her. This might actually work, she thought, a genuine smile breaking across her face as she carefully prepared the dish. Meanwhile, in the storage room, Daniel spent the day wrestling with his own mix of anxiety and anticipation. He alternated between reviewing his plans and nervously peeking through the kitchen door, searching for any sign of how things were going. The lack of immediate news only fed his worry, making him question the effectiveness of their plan. What if no one was interested? What if it was a total failure? No, I can't think like that. I have to stay positive. It will work out, it just needs time. He reassured himself, clinging to the hope that Emma was simply too busy with a sudden influx of customers to come and update him. As the morning stretched into the afternoon, Daniel knew he couldn't wait any longer. He had to pick up Lily from school. But as he returned to the restaurant, his worry turned to curiosity when he saw Emma engaged in her routine of serving food to the homeless in the alley. Her face, usually focused and serious during this task, was now lit up with excitement. The moment she spotted Daniel and Lily, she rushed over to them, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "You won't believe what happened," Emma exclaimed, her eyes shining with delight. "The idea worked. We had more customers today than we've had in weeks. Daniel, you're doing it. You're truly brilliant." Her joy was contagious, and for the first time in what felt like forever, the weight of worry lifted from Daniel's shoulders. A sense of accomplishment swelled in Daniel's chest, but it was Emma's infectious excitement that truly filled him with hope. "Really? That's amazing, Emma. But this is just the beginning. We have to keep the momentum going. We can't let up now," he said, his voice a mix of relief and determination. "Absolutely," Emma agreed, still beaming. "Let's keep brainstorming and come up with more ideas to keep the customers coming back. We're on the right track, Daniel. I just know it." As they stood there, basking in their small but significant victory, Daniel couldn't help but feel that, with Emma by his side, they really could turn things around. The road ahead was still uncertain and filled with challenges, but for the first time it felt like they were on the path to something better, something worth fighting for. Daniel, hearing the incredible news from Emma, couldn't help but let out a laugh of pure, unrestrained happiness. It was a sound that hadn't escaped his lips in what felt like ages. "Really? That's amazing. You have no idea how relieved I feel right now," he exclaimed, his voice echoing with the pent-up tension that had finally found release. The fact that only 4 customers had successfully guessed the names of the dishes was like the cherry on top. It signaled not only that the idea had successfully drawn in more people, but also that the restaurant had managed to generate some profit, a much-needed lifeline in these desperate times. Despite the success, Daniel knew better than to rest on their laurels. "But we can't get too comfortable," he cautioned, the seriousness returning to his tone. "We need to keep the momentum going, to continue innovating and bringing fresh ideas to the table." While I was in the storage room, I had some time to think about our next move. What if we tried something similar with the drinks? We could challenge customers to guess the flavors of different juices. If they get it right, they can have as many refills as they want. The idea was fresh, and Daniel's mind buzzed with the potential it held. Emma, still riding the high of the day's success, immediately warmed to the idea. "That sounds fantastic. I've noticed that people, especially younger customers, are really drawn to challenges. It's the perfect way to keep them engaged and coming back for more," she replied, her enthusiasm mirroring Daniel's. The excitement between them was palpable, fueling their hopes that this new idea could replicate, or even surpass, the success of the previous day. The following day, a new sign was carefully positioned outside the restaurant, strategically placed to catch the eye of passers-by. "Order a random juice and guess the flavor. If you get it right, drink as much as you want." The expectations were high as they waited to see how this new promotion would fare. The sign itself was inviting, a beacon of curiosity in the busy street, and Daniel and Emma found themselves anxiously anticipating the results. As the day unfolded, the restaurant did see an uptick in customers, drawn by the allure of the juice guessing game. However, as the hours passed, it became clear that the increase in foot traffic wasn't as significant as they had hoped. While some patrons were intrigued by the challenge, the overall impact wasn't quite as powerful as the dish guessing game had been. By late afternoon, the initial excitement had started to wane, and Emma couldn't help but notice the slow but steady decline in the number of people walking through the doors. The day continued at this more subdued pace, each customer bringing with them a flicker of hope that quickly dimmed as the number of patrons dwindled. By the time evening rolled around, the restaurant had settled into a quiet lull, the earlier energy giving way to a sense of anticlimax. Although the juice promotion had brought in some business, it wasn't the game changer they had been hoping for. As the last of the day's customers departed, leaving the restaurant in the hush of the evening, Emma sought out Daniel in the storage room. She found him sitting on one of the makeshift chairs, his expression mirroring the concern that had been gnawing at her all day. The shadows in the room seemed to deepen the weight of their worries, and when Emma spoke, her voice was laced with both frustration and sincerity. "Daniel, the juice idea was good, but it didn't quite bring in the numbers we needed. I think we need something more impactful, something that really sets us apart from other restaurants, something that grabs people's attention in a way that's impossible to ignore." She confessed, her voice trailing off as she grappled with the pressure they both felt. The weight of their situation pressed heavily on her, and the fear of failure loomed large in her mind. Daniel, sensing Emma's distress, fell into deep thought, his mind racing to find a solution. He reflected on all the ideas they had tried, the successes and the setbacks, and then, almost like a light bulb going off in his head, he remembered something Emma had mentioned before, her deep love for music. "Emma," he began carefully, "you mentioned that you love music, right? Do you play any instruments, or have you ever performed in front of an audience before?" Emma blinked, caught off guard by the sudden shift in conversation. She hesitated, unsure where Daniel was going with this. "Yes, I do love music," she replied slowly, her voice tinged with curiosity and a hint of suspicion. "I play the guitar a little, but I've never performed in front of an audience. I usually just play for myself or my dad." "Why do you ask?" Her question was tentative, a small voice in the back of her mind beginning to suspect what Daniel might be thinking. Daniel didn't answer right away. Instead, he let his silence speak volumes, his eyes holding Emma's with a look that seemed to convey his entire plan without needing words. Emma's eyes widened in realization, and she quickly recoiled, her earlier excitement replaced by a wave of anxiety. "Wait, you're not suggesting that I perform, are you, Daniel? I don't know if I can do that. I won't deny it's a good idea, but what if I get too nervous? What if I can't sing in front of all those people?" Her voice wavered, the fear of public performance evident in her every word. Daniel could see the fear in her eyes, the vulnerability she was trying to hide. He knew this was a big ask, but he also believed it could be a turning point for both Emma and the restaurant. "I understand, Emma. Performing in front of an audience is a big step, but how about we take it one step at a time? You could start by singing just for me and Lily consider it a rehearsal, if you can do that. It might give you the confidence to perform for the restaurant's customers. We could make it part of the experience here, something that truly sets us apart," he suggested, his tone gentle and reassuring. Emma's initial resistance softened slightly, though she still felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach. The idea of singing in front of even a small, friendly audience was intimidating, touching on insecurity she had harbored for years. "But what if I sing off-key?" "I'm not a trained singer, Daniel. I've never taken lessons or anything. I'm just an amateur, and I'm afraid I'll disappoint you," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel leaned forward, his expression filled with understanding and encouragement. "Emma, you don't need to be perfect. This isn't about hitting every note just right, it's about sharing something you love, something that's a part of who you are. Music has a way of connecting with people on a deeper level. It's not about technique, it's about the emotion, the passion. And I know you have that in spades. I've seen it in the way you talk about music, in the way your eyes light up when you play. That's what people will connect with, and that's what will make this place special," he said, his voice steady and full of conviction. Emma took a deep breath, letting his words sink in. She could feel the truth in what Daniel was saying, but the fear still lingered, clinging to her like a shadow. Yet there was also a small part of her that wanted to believe him, that wanted to take this leap and see where it could lead. "Okay," she finally said, her voice soft but resolute. "I'll give it a try, just for you and Lily first. If I can do that, maybe I can take the next step." Daniel's face broke into a warm, encouraging smile. "That's all I ask, Emma. And I know you'll do great. We'll plan it for tonight, after we close up. It'll be a private little concert, just for us." The rest of the day passed in a blur of anticipation and nerves for Emma. While the restaurant continued its operations, her mind kept drifting back to the evening's upcoming rehearsal. The thought of performing, even for just Daniel and Lily, filled her with a mix of excitement and dread, her heart racing each time she thought about it. When the last customer had left and the restaurant doors were locked, the time finally came. Emma found herself standing in the quiet, dimly lit restaurant, her guitar in hand. The tables, now empty and cleared, seemed to watch her expectantly. Daniel and Lily sat at one of them, their expressions filled with warmth and encouragement, waiting for her to begin. The simplicity of the scene was both comforting and terrifying. Emma took a moment to steady herself, her hands trembling slightly as she strummed the first few chords on her guitar. The familiar notes helped calm her nerves a little, and she took a deep breath before beginning to sing. At first, her voice was soft, almost tentative, but as the melody filled the room, she slowly started to lose herself in the music. The anxiety that had gripped her began to ease, replaced by the comfort of doing something she loved. As she sang, Emma found herself growing more confident, her voice gaining strength with each note. She closed her eyes, allowing the music to take over, and for a moment she forgot that she was performing at all. When the final notes faded into silence, she opened her eyes to find Daniel and Lily beaming at her, their applause warm and sincere. "That was incredible," Emma Daniel said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "You did it, and you were amazing." Lily, unable to contain her excitement, jumped up from her seat. "Emma, you sounded like a real singer. You have to do this at the restaurant. Everyone will love it." Emma blushed, a smile spreading across her face as she absorbed their praise. The rehearsal had gone better than she'd expected, and for the first time, she felt a glimmer of confidence that maybe, just maybe, she could do this. "Thank you," she said softly, her eyes shining with a mix of relief and pride. "Maybe I will try performing for the customers. I still have a lot of nerves, but you're right, it could really make a difference for the restaurant." Daniel nodded, his smile reassuring. "Take your time, Emma. We'll go at your pace. But I believe in you, and I think once you see how much people enjoy it, those nerves will start to fade." With the plan now including live music, the atmosphere in the restaurant felt different, lighter, more hopeful. Emma and Daniel spent the rest of the evening discussing how to incorporate her music into the restaurant's offerings in a way that felt natural and inviting. They talked about themes, set lists, and how to create an ambience that would make the restaurant not just a place to eat, but a place to experience something special. As the night came to a close, the sense of camaraderie between them had deepened, their shared goal bringing them closer together. There was still much work to be done, and the path ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, but for the first time in a long while, it felt like they were moving in the right direction. With renewed determination and a plan that now included Emma's music, they were ready to face whatever came next, together. Daniel, however, did not give up. "Emma, we trust you, and no matter what happens, we'll be here supporting you. It's a chance to show your talent, even if it's just to the two of us." Lily, always the biggest supporter, joined her father. "I really want to hear you sing, Emma, please. I'm sure you must sing like a princess, like in the movies." Lily's request, made with eyes bright with expectation, was the final push Emma needed. After a moment of reflection, Emma conceded. "All right, I'll try, but I can't promise anything, okay? I can sing for you, but it doesn't mean I'll sing for the entire restaurant." That night, the storage room transformed into an impromptu stage, with the three of them seated on boxes, Daniel playing the guitar and Emma unleashing her voice. As she began to sing, her sweet and melodious voice filled the space, revealing a hidden talent that not even Daniel could have predicted. As he watched her sing, the man discovered a new passion. Watching Emma sing was an experience that warmed his heart, a new and profound feeling that completely enveloped him, leaving him enchanted in a way he had never experienced before. For her part, Emma, immersed in the music and in Daniel's presence, discovered something about herself she had not known before. The sensation of watching Daniel play, the way his skilled hands drew melodies from the guitar, was like witnessing a kind of magic. At that moment, she realized that her admiration for music and the act of singing was only part of the reason for her emotions. What truly enchanted her was Daniel himself. The recognition of this truth brought a whirlwind of emotions, a mix of happiness from the discovery and anxiety about what it meant. After the last note was played and the last verse sung, Emma was radiant. The experience of performing, initially terrifying, had turned into a reason for excitement. "Thank you so much for this. Truly, now I know I can do it, and I will give it my all." "Let's bring music to the restaurant," she said, her voice filled with newfound confidence. When the restaurant reopened the next day, a new energy vibrated in the air, announced by the updated sign promising live music and a musical challenge for customers. Live music. Guess the song name and win a dessert. This unusual promise for a neighborhood restaurant sparked the curiosity of many, attracting a crowd that sought not just a meal but an experience. Daniel had dedicated himself to setting up a makeshift stage with fruit crates, creating a cozy space for Emma to perform. Despite the simplicity of the stage, it was a beautiful setting due to the colorful fruits. Daniel, dressed in the work clothes that Emma had provided, took on the roles of server and cook with surprising skill, proving himself a first-rate chef. Little Lily was not to be outdone. She helped her father with a seriousness and dedication that enchanted. She passed ingredients, picked up plates and glasses, and moved around the kitchen with a grace that only children possess. As the afternoon progressed, the restaurant filled up more and more, the customers drawn by the novelty of live music and the proposed challenge. Emma, with her sweet and captivating voice, enchanted everyone, transforming the space with her melodies. Each song was met with enthusiastic applause, and customers eagerly participated in the game, each trying to guess the names of the songs to win their promised dessert. Meanwhile, Daniel, although busy with the demands of the crowded restaurant, never missed an opportunity to admire Emma whenever he could. Each time he passed by the stage, he allowed himself a moment to watch her sing, a smile always blooming on his lips. These brief moments, when their gazes met and smiles were exchanged, were interrupted only by the need to attend to customers' calls. Yet Daniel's smile remained, a reflection of the enchantment and deep admiration he felt for Emma. When Daniel returned to the kitchen after one of these moments, Lily, with her keen observation, commented, "Daddy, you have that silly smile again." "I haven't given up on having a mommy," she said, a hint of mischief in her voice. Daniel, caught off guard by Lily's comment, quickly turned back to work. "Let's focus on the dishes now, okay? We have a lot to do to keep chatting. And be careful with the glasses. Use the chair to reach them." He tried to keep his voice neutral, but his heart was light, and he felt almost buoyant. It was evident that for Daniel, that day was not only about securing the survival of the restaurant. In the days that followed, Michael's restaurant only grew in popularity. With each passing day, the number of customers increased, drawn not only by the promise of a good meal, but by the unique experience the restaurant now offered. It was against this backdrop of success and infectious joy that Michael returned from his trip. Approaching the restaurant, Michael could hardly believe what he was seeing. The entrance was crowded with people, a scene he hadn't witnessed in a long time. The sound of his daughter Emma's voice singing to an enchanted audience reached his ears, blending with the cheerful murmur of the customers. The for sale sign that had once marked the facade of the restaurant had disappeared. Entering the restaurant, Michael was even more surprised to see Daniel, who had taken on the role of server with the naturalness and elegance of a true waiter. Dressed impeccably and with a smile that radiated happiness, Daniel greeted Michael with genuine joy. "Welcome back, Michael. How was your trip?" "I hope it wasn't too tiring," he said with a simplicity that hid the effort and dedication behind the transformation of the restaurant. Michael, still trying to grasp the situation, laughed with emotion, allowing himself for the first time in a long time to cry with happiness. The success he saw before his eyes was something that in his darkest moments he had never imagined possible. "You've done an incredible job. It's a real miracle. I owe my life to you, Daniel." Despite the emotion, without wasting time, Michael returned to his seriousness. "But it seems we don't have much time for talking and crying. We have a lot of work to do. Come on, back to action," he declared, taking his place in the restaurant with new energy. The collaboration between him and Daniel flowed naturally, as if they had been a well-tuned team for years. This moment marked not only the revival of the restaurant, but also the birth of a new family, one bound not by blood, but by shared dreams, unwavering efforts, and above all, a deep love for music. The transformation of Michael's restaurant from a struggling business into a vibrant and joyful gathering place was living proof that even in the darkest times, hope and creativity can carve out new paths, bringing light and color to the bleakest of days. As the day drew to a close and the last of the customers left, the restaurant finally found its well-deserved rest. The once bustling atmosphere settled into a peaceful calm, the soft clatter of dishes being washed, and the low hum of conversation the only sounds left. It was in this serene moment that Michael asked Daniel for a private word in the storage room, while Emma and Lily lingered in the kitchen, enjoying the simple pleasure of sharing the leftover dessert, their laughter and light chatter filling the space. In the dim light of the storage room, Michael faced Daniel with an expression full of gratitude that needed no words. But words came anyway, laden with the depth of his appreciation. "Daniel," he began, his voice steady but thick with emotion, "I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done. You have no idea how much this means to me and Emma. It wasn't just her who put on a show tonight, you did too, my friend." Daniel, ever humble, shook his head slightly, deflecting the praise as was his nature. "Thank you, Mr. Michael, but it wasn't just me. With a bit of creativity and everyone's help, especially Emma Z's, we managed to pull through. I couldn't have done this alone." Michael's smile deepened as he listened to Daniel's words, pleased to hear Emma's contribution being recognized. "Say what you will, Daniel, but you can't deny the skill you showed tonight. You served those customers as if you'd been doing it for years, and they were more than satisfied with the food. You've proven yourself to be an excellent waiter and cook." But then, the tone of the conversation shifted unexpectedly. Michael's expression turned more serious, his eyes narrowing slightly as he fixed Daniel with a direct look. "But I hope you'll be just as good a son-in-law as you are a worker," he said, his voice steady, but with a hint of teasing. "Or did you think I didn't notice those smiles between you and Emma?" The sudden mention of a potential deeper relationship between him and Emma caught Daniel completely off guard. His face flushed a deep red, the surprise mingling with a burgeoning happiness and a wave of embarrassment. The fact that his feelings for Emma were so transparent that even Michael had noticed left him momentarily speechless. "Well, I don't know what to say," Daniel stammered, laughing nervously as he tried to regain his composure. The realization that Michael not only noticed but also approved of the budding relationship filled Daniel with a warmth that spread through his entire being. After that conversation, the trajectory of everyone's lives took an unexpected but beautiful turn. Michael's perceptive observation about the connection between Daniel and Emma proved prophetic. Not long after Michael returned from his trip, Daniel gathered the courage to propose to Emma. Her acceptance, though deeply meaningful, came as no surprise to Lily or Michael, both of whom had seen the love blossoming between the two. The wedding was a joyous celebration, held just 2 months later, a testament to the love that had grown from shared hardship and triumph. In the months that followed, Daniel became an integral part of the restaurant team, working alongside Emma to not only maintain the restaurant's newfound success, but also to dream bigger. Their collaboration, rooted in mutual respect and a shared passion for creating something special, soon bore fruit. Together, they managed to save enough to purchase a house, turning a once unthinkable dream into a reality. Lily, who had become a joyful and constant presence both in the restaurant and in the lives of Daniel and Emma, received the news of a new sibling with boundless excitement. The announcement of Emma's pregnancy added a new chapter to their story of resilience and love, symbolizing the beginning of a new and promising lineage. The family's bond grew even stronger, their love and dedication to one another creating a foundation that would carry them through any challenge life might bring. As the years passed, Michael's restaurant not only remained a beloved fixture in the community, but also expanded into a successful franchise within the city. Daniel's innovative ideas, coupled with Michael's unwavering dedication and Emma's steadfast support, turned the restaurant into a symbol of resilience, creativity, and success. The family's journey from struggle to prosperity became a story that inspired everyone who crossed their path. The stability and success they achieved were testaments to the power of collaboration, love, and a shared belief in their dreams. The days of uncertainty and hardship faded into the past, replaced by a future filled with joy, prosperity, and the confidence that they could face any challenge together. Each new obstacle was no longer seen as a roadblock, but as an opportunity to grow and strengthen their bond. Their legacy, marked by the music that filled the restaurant, the unforgettable flavors of the dishes, and the deep love they shared, became an inspiration to all who knew them. It was a reminder that with unity, creativity, and love, even the most improbable dreams could be transformed into a beautiful reality. What a journey this has been. We've witnessed how the power of creativity, determination, and love can transform lives and bring about unexpected blessings. Now, we want to hear from you. What have you learned from this story? Is there one thing that stands out to you that you'll bring into your own life? We invite you to share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below this video. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to bring you more stories that inspire and uplift. See you in the next one.